I was on a tour I just got home Tuesday, I think, back into Ontario, Monday or Tuesday, and I was out in Alberta. And I went to a meeting that reminds me of this meeting. And I got asked to come and speak at a small gathering of people like this in Lethbridge, Alberta. And what struck me about that meeting was that the first thing they started off with, they actually stood up and sang "O Canada" as well. And I reflected on the number of times in the last year that I was part of a group of people singing "O Canada." And I like to see that it's coming back. It's becoming actually mainstream now. And I actually sincerely do appreciate that as a former Canadian Forces member.
You got to get this "O Canada" thing.
It's important because I've often said that the most important piece of bling, let's call that on my uniform, was always the Canadian flag that I wore on my shoulder. And I like to see that it's actually coming back in style, despite what JT wants us all to believe. So before I go too far, I just want to tell you this little story. It's from a TV show that I watched about 20 years ago. And it's basically like this. There's a guy, he's stuck down in a hole. Can't get out of this hole. And a doctor walks by and he says, "Hey, doc, can you give me a hand? I can't get out of this hole. Can you help me out?" So the doctor writes a prescription, throws it down into the hole. I was like, "Well, what am I going to do with this?" Doctor walks off. A few minutes later, preacher walks by. He's like, "Hey, Father, can you help me? I'm stuck down in this hole and I can't get out." The priest says a prayer. On his way, he goes. His friend Joe walks by and he says, "Hey, Joe, I'm stuck down in this hole. Can you help me out?" Joel jumps into the hole and he says, "What are you, stupid, Joe? Now we're both stuck down here." And Joe says, "Yeah, but I've been down here before and I know the way out." And we are at a crossroads right now in this movement where we are looking for leadership. And I don't mean at the federal level. I don't mean at the political level. I mean within the movement level. We are looking to certain people, and I'm happy to count James in amongst that group of leaders. People that they embody moral courage, because it is something that is seriously lacking in our society today, except for people in this room who know what that means. But we have to recognize there's a difference between, leadership and maybe loudership, if I could use that term. It is the difference between false hope and people that maybe will prey on desperation. And I'm talking about people like the Queen of Canada, okay? And Romana, or whatever she goes by. I'm talking about people that have been fighting this battle from day one versus people that are exploiting the vulnerable, people that are desperate to see change, desperate to get control of their current circumstances. And the first time I spoke here, I talked about the colossal failures of every institution that we hold dear within our societies. And that created this vacuum, this opportunity for the Queen of Canada. And I say that absolutely jokingly. We saw what happened in Peterborough last week. I didn't see Romana going up, tackling police officers or arresting. I think I saw she was handing out some snacks, but she was sending her sheep to the slaughter. And I saw people that were desperate to do something, to take action, were going forward. And they were being assaulted while they were being the actual assaulters. The group that I'm in, Veterans for Freedom, Mounties for Freedom, has also done it. We've had other groups like-minded, like Veterans for Freedom. We've done podcasts. We've talked about this. We've talked about the dangers of following people that maybe don't have everybody's best interest at heart. And it's difficult in this time right now to know who to trust. Who can you believe? And, you know, while I was sitting here, I looked up the definition. What is a hero? What is a hero? We throw that term around like it's oxygen, but it's not. You know, do we say that somebody like Wayne Gretzky, who made millions upon millions of dollars chasing around a piece of rubber on a sheet of ice, is he a hero? Maybe, maybe not. I never saw it that way. Is it people like James Topp, who has gone 5 operational deployments for this country over a 28-year career, 5 war zones, walked across this country? He's still walking today. Is that a hero, or is it Rachel Gilmore? Is that what we define as a hero? Is it the celebrities or the actual people that do things? And when I look at the definition of what I found to be a hero, a person who is admired or idolized for courage, outstanding achievements, or notable activities. It's a pretty simple definition of what a hero is. It's not very descriptive, so we can throw that term around. But I would offer that each and every one of us needs to be our own hero. We need to have notable achievements within ourselves, within our family. Every parent must lead their child. Every church must lead their people. Every soldier must lead their fellow soldiers. Every police officer must lead each other. Everybody in the community, in my mind, has a duty, a responsibility to be a hero to their community, to make it better, to make it what it should be, what it could be. We're not there. We're nowhere near being in that position. And something that, if I could convey one idea to everybody, and hopefully everyone who may be watching this on Zoom, the idea is right now, and I'm asking for this, I'm asking for you to be patient. I'm asking for patience right now. We're at a critical time. Napoleon said, never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. If you've been following the media for the last couple of weeks, you're seeing this narrative crumble. You're seeing example after example after example of the mainstream media being on its knees. It's amazing I haven't been blocked on. I won't say it in case somebody out there in the social media space is listening. But I've noticed a huge change, a huge shift. And recently, a friend of mine, yes, he's a friend of mine, Jeremy McKenzie. He has been all over social media. He's been on the news. He's been doing a lot of things. And like it or not, Jeremy is a combat veteran of Afghanistan. He's a military veteran. He does political satire. He does comedy. And if you look at what's trending on social media this week, it's about this group called Diagolon. Diagolon, right? Just so everyone's clear, if you hear this and you're like, what was that guy talking about in Woodville? Diagolon is a meme. It's a joke. It doesn't exist. There's no military. There's no army. It doesn't exist. It is a joke. It is something that the Liberal government, during the invocation of the Emergency Act, used to justify invoking the Emergency Act against its own citizens. They tried to brand it as a domestic terrorist organization. They are terrified of the imagination of one Jeremy McKenzie. This is the state of affairs at the political federal level right now. And so I'm asking for your patience. And I'm happy to hear what Kristen and everybody did, and Rob sending out those notices. I'm happy to hear that. I'm encouraged by that. Because I'm also happy about hearing other things that some of the other presenters that are running for local council. Because we all know, and Kirsten and I said this during our provincial campaign, local action has national consequence. So we are doing stuff at the local level. It's important to get involved in your community politics. It's important to get involved in your school board politics. Become a trustee. Be active. Be part of all of it. Come to these meetings. It's vital because we have a democracy where we say, we elected you people to represent our wishes, but we know that that doesn't exist anymore. We don't live in that kind of country right now. We don't, and we all know this. But we need to get it back. In the military, we talk about, taking the initiative with bold and decisive action. Right now, people are desperate to know what that is. I get attacked regularly by my own supporters.
Yes, you
by
got it.
Veterans for Freedom supporters, by other movement supporters. Yep. Many of you may have seen the video of me getting just eviscerated Canada Day in Ottawa. That's fine. If I had to do it again, I would probably polish it a little more, but I would do it again because I still believe now what I said on the 1st of July. We need to go forward peacefully. We can't do this. You can't attack the police. You can't think that you're going to go into a beehive and come out without being stung. It doesn't work that way. Veterans for Freedom, we've done a whole bunch of podcasts on these issues. We've talked about being smart. We've talked about being patient. We've talked about doing things the right way in a way that puts you at an advantage, not a gross disadvantage. It's going to take patience. When I was in Ottawa, I sat in on a meeting. The room was packed. It was a very late night. I had a migraine because that was the early days of my COVID experience. And I was in a room full of phenomenal people. And I remember there was 2 doctors in that room and there was 2 lawyers in that room. And I'm hoping Keith Wilson is watching this right now. But I was in this room and I said, I want to take a moment to reflect on this moment right now inside this movement of Canadians. In the beginning, when all this stuff happened with these mandates, we said, the lawyers will stop this. They'll never let it go forward. And they did. And then the vaccines came out, and we said, the doctors will put an end to this. The doctors will stop this because it's bad science. And they didn't. And I wanted to reflect on that point in that room because I was in the room with the lawyers and the doctors that were trying to put an end to it. They were the ones there in Ottawa, right beside us, right there on the streets in Ottawa, standing up for what we all wanted 2 years previous. I've been skeptical of the doctors because they've done nothing. Many of them have, and guess what? Patience, because now they're starting to come out. The College of Physicians and Surgeons, they've been stunted. The doctors are starting to speak out. The lawyers are starting to come out of the woodwork. They're starting to speak out and take the cases. It's happening. It is happening. The mainstream media is starting to crumble. They're on their knees. Next month, we've got the public inquiry. It starts on the 19th of September in Ottawa. It is the moment, I believe, that we've been waiting for. It is going to be a game changer. It will be presided over a retired judge. He was associated to the Liberal Party, yes, but he's retired. He's got nothing left to do in his career. They brought him out, Justice Rouleau. He'll preside over it. Every member or every political party gets 1 MP and 1 senator. There are 14 groups that have applied for good standing in these public inquiries, including the Freedom Convoy. So we will be there and we will be testifying at that public inquiry. I was there with phenomenal people. Jack McClellan was there. Trish, you were there. A lot of people in this room were in Ottawa. But to me, some of the most important people that were in Ottawa was Keith Wilson, Eva Chipiuk. They're lawyers that work with the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedom. They will be participating in the public inquiry. It's time for people like me to sit on the sidelines and to support the people now that are going to take this fight to the government. I'm not saying I'm stepping back completely. I'll still be on social media, lighting people up and getting totally destroyed by weird radio hosts and people I've never met before. But it's time to be patient and let the system start to reset itself and start actually doing what it was intended to do. It's time for the lawyers to do what we need them to do. And it is time to be patient. We've got one more month before the public inquiry starts. It will be publicly televised. Rebel Media will be covering it and doing daily commentary. So I know I spoke about bold and decisive action, but I also said you never let your enemy, you never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. Right now, let's not interrupt. Let's just be patient for one more month. Keep up the planning, keep up the local pressure, and just be patient. It's happening. It is absolutely happening. The reason I went to Alberta last week was to sit in a series of meetings to talk about what was going to happen during the inquiry. I can't discuss specifics, obviously, that's strategy, but I can tell you that I am incredibly encouraged. I'm so hopeful about what is going to come out of this. I think it is the moment we've all been waiting for. I really do believe that. And we could talk about this divisiveness within the freedom movement, and we all know that it's happening, right? We all know that we've got various fractured groups amongst the different freedom elements. We know that this is happening. And this is why I'm saying, for a month, let's just stop attacking each other, myself included. I'll take that advice. Let's unify and be patient. Let this system finally do what it was intended to do. Because I know these people. I know Keith, I know Eva, I know all the other lawyers that are involved, and they are the best of the best. They are the perfect people to be leading this for us. We just have to support them, and I think we're going to be good. The last thing I want to say, this is the last thing. In the last 2.5 years, 29 months, I have never been more encouraged. I've never been happier as a human being in this world than I am right now. I see the world different. We've been through a lot of stuff, but I really, honestly, sincerely, truly believe it's going to be better. And we're going to come out of this much better than when we started. I know some of you may not see it that way. You may not believe it. Be patient. Be patient. Things are happening. They're happening. I was there in the meetings. I've never been this full of hope in my life. And with that, I'm going to thank you guys all for coming. I really appreciate your time.